Good morning, everyone. I am working on another little project. I'm making another fabric book, and I was working on the cover of it, and then I thought I should stop and share with you what I'm doing before I get it all completely done and covered up, and then I can't show you. The cover of this book is going to have like a basket weave technique. And so, of course, it's going to be done in this beautiful lavender fabric. This is like a satin fabric that I'm using. And I've cut a piece of fabric that's approximately the size of the cover on the book. It's a little bit larger than what I need, but and then I've made these little strips to that are going to build that I'm going to build the basket weave with. And so what I'm working on here is just some fabric. It's like a flannel fabric that I just folded, and I'm just using that to stick the pins into to hold everything in place while I'm doing the weaving part of it. And so you could use anything if you've got like a piece of cardboard or something that you can use to push pins into. Whatever you have will work. And so I just grabbed this because I thought this would work for my process, and it works just fine. So I just laid the fabric down on top of it. It's not attached or anything. It's just laying on top of the flannel, and then I've just pinned these strips in there. And so I made these strips out of the same fabric. Now you don't have to do that part. If you want to make this a little bit simpler, all you have to do is use ribbon, or you could even use lace. And lace would be beautiful, I think, doing a basket weave out of the lace. But the look that I'm going for, I wanted it to be, I wanted it to have a little bit more thickness to it, because if you use a lace, I'm sorry, if you use a ribbon, it's going to be very flat, and that just wasn't the look that I was going for. So I decided to make these little strips myself. And so how I made them was I just took a little piece of the same fabric, and it's cut at 9.5 inches long by 2 inches wide. And this is, as I mentioned, like a satin fabric, so it has a real shiny side, and then it has a matte side. So we'll work with the shiny side down on my tabletop. And I'm not going to make them. I'm just going to, because I have plenty of them already made, because like I said, I was in the process of putting this together, and then I stopped myself to do this video. So I'll just kind of go through it quickly and show you how I made them. But I used this fabric tack to make these strips, and instead of using a glue gun, because you know a glue gun on fabric is going to leave a hard lumpy feel, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to stay soft to the touch, and this fabric tack will allow you to do that. And you could also sew these if you wanted to, but that's just way too much work. I didn't feel that was necessary, so the fabric tack works just fine. And if I wanted to sew through this, you could still sew through fabric tack if you don't put it on real heavy. And it's a little bit messy to use, but I like the end result of this much better than using a glue gun. So, and you don't get burned. So the way that I made this was I just took the fabric tack and I put a little tiny line of the glue right along that edge right there. And then I folded it in thirds. So I folded it over like that, like a third, and then I folded it over the other half like that, and then just pressed it down with my fingers, and then it makes these little strips like that. Now, the reason I mentioned using a tiny bead line of that is it will seep through. It will show through your fabric, and as you can see right there, you can see the dark spots there on my fabric where it's seeped through, but it doesn't go through on the other side. And these are a little bit flat now because I did press them with my iron, but they aren't totally flat. They still have some puffiness to them. And like I was saying, that's the reason why I chose to use the fabric, was because I wanted a little bit more thickness to what I'm doing here instead of the flat look that you would get from using a ribbon. And so once you have your strips just pinned in place, just side by side, then you'll take the ones that you're going to work with horizontally, and then you just alternate going under every other one. So you'll lift the first one and go under, and then you'll skip one, and then you'll lift the next one and go under. We should move that up just a little bit, and then skip that one, go under the next one, and this just continue all the way across, and then slide that up to the top like that. And then I think, now I haven't done this because I stopped myself to show you, but I think what I'm going to do is use the fabric tack and use a little bit of glue. So after I put a strip in, I think you probably want to add a little bit of glue underneath just to hold it in place. You don't need a lot, you just want a little dot of glue just to kind of hold things in place, because when you put this down on your fabric book, you're going to put all kinds of embellishments and things on top of it. So those things will actually anchor things into place for you too. And also, unfortunately, you'll end up covering up most of your basket weave. So I may do this also for the back of the book. I'm not sure. I'll just have to wait and see how much of it I cover up before I decide whether I'm going to do the back also that way. But okay, for the second strip, because we went under that one, we'll start by going under this one. So now you'll just lift every other one and do the same thing and just bring it all the way to the top now. And as you can see, it starts to form your basket weave. Now you'll go back to the first one and every other one from there. And you can see that goes really fast. It doesn't take long at all to do that. And it's such a pretty look. There we go. Okay, so it ends up making a very, very pretty look. And just remember to go back and pull these up and get them as close as you possibly can, because you might end up with just a tiny little hole where you can see through there if you don't get them moved up far enough. And the reason I wanted the background to be the same color is just in case I have a little gap, it won't be that noticeable because the fabric that I'm working on is the same as the basket weave that I'm using. So it won't show up, it won't pop out. If it was a different color, you know, it would stand out and be noticed pretty easy. So there you go. That's pretty much all you have to do. So, of course, I'll take this all apart and redo it and put glue underneath to hold everything in place. But you get the idea, right? So isn't that beautiful? I just love it. I just think it's so pretty. I think it would be also very, very pretty if it was done in a lace. So there you go, in case you were interested in how to do a basket weave with fabric. So hope you all are having a great day so far. Thanks so much for watching, and take care. Bye.